I'm really struggling to understand religion. Like, I'm trying so hard to stay on board with y'all, but it does not make any sense. I seen blessed and highly favored, and this was a Walmart greeter. Nothing wrong with Walmart greeting. Hey, dude, do your job. That's great. I'm happy for you. But blessed, how are you? If you're blessed and highly favored, then what is Elon? Like, is Elon extra, extra blessed and extra, extra, extra favored by God? Like, does God love him so much? Because you're blessed and highly favored, and you rent a room from a guy in an apartment, and Jeff Bezos has a $500 million yacht. Not his house, a boat. He could buy this whole city. So is he like extra, extra, extra blessed? Like, how does that work? Like, how is God blessing them too? Just over and over and over again and no one else? Like, how does that work? It's like, oh, well, I'm blessed because God brought me out of stuff. Like, God didn't brought me out of so much. Well, God didn't brought Trump out of literally everything. And I guarantee you, if you go do what he did, you're going to prison immediately. God's not getting you out of that. But God got Trump out of that, so is Trump blessed and highly favored? Like, this dude got out of 34 felonies. I got cousins in jail right now for one. This dude was straight out here grabbing and graping people, and he is out free. He is blessed and highly, highly, highly favored then. Because God then brought him through all kinds of stuff, and now he president again. And might be again in 3 more years. So, who's really blessed? Like, by what logic?
Shalom, Nasrallah. It's your brother Darash Marth, and I'm back with another lesson. I'm affiliate of the GMS Boys Idaho Camp. Before we get started, I want to say call Allah Yamla Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Mekakodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone for bringing out this truth. And shalom to those for elect, which includes the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there scattered around the world, including those speckled bird Israelites who may look like the other nations, but are not. This is not a black thing. You are who you are according to the seed of your father. And this word goes out to the 12 tribes scattered abroad because the scriptures were not written unto the nation of Israel. The title of this lesson is going to be Response, Blessed and Highly Favored. So the intro video, this guy's basically confused about what it means to be blessed. Sounds like a Walmart greeter was saying that they're blessed and highly favored. And it's like, how could you be blessed? You know, you're basically poor, you work at Walmart, and then, you know, what about people like, you know, these billionaires like Elon Musk, like DJ Trump, and, you know, everybody else on? They're blessed too. He honestly never read the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5. But what we're dealing with is a temporal blessing. So a temporal blessing is a blessing limited by time, and an eternal blessing. Okay? That is yet to, you know, be manifest, I would say. Okay? So you have to understand who people are biblically. I mean, most people just take the Bible at face value, don't really have an understanding of it. And I think that's where a lot of confusion comes from. And that's how the Bible is set up, so that people can understand it. But like Yahushua told his disciples, unto you it is given to understand the mysteries of the kingdom. That's why he spoke to them in parables, and the Bible is a big parable. And that's why people don't get it and they're so lost, because they're blinded to it. Their eyes haven't been opened to it. They don't have the ears to hear or eyes to see, you know. So if you have the ears to hear or eyes to see, listen up and learn. So this is going to be Genesis, the 25th chapter, starting at verse 9. It says, and Jacob saw pottage in Esau from the field, and he was faint. Well, Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So Jacob and Esau are twin brothers, okay? And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with the same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore his name was called Edom, which means red. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. Okay? And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. What profit shall this birthright do to me? So he sold his birthright. All right? That birthright is a blessing. That birthright, okay, is an eternal blessing. Okay? Now, let's go to Genesis 27, down to verse 21. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son. whether thou be my very son Esau or not. So Esau was the oldest, so the birthright belonged to him, but he sold it. Okay, and so now Jacob goes to collect, and he uses his trickery to collect it. Okay, and Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him and said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. And he said, art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, come near now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, see, the smell of my son is the smell of the field which Yahweh hath blessed. Therefore, power, give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that cursed thee, and blessed be he that blessed thee. Okay, and so this is Jacob's blessing. All right, so which is ultimately going to turn into rulership on the planet Earth, and it's an eternal blessing. That's what the kingdom of heaven is about. Now it's the blessing, on the Israelites. In modern day, the Israelites would be classified as so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which were scattered abroad, throughout history, and even look like the other nations. So in some cases, you can't tell them apart. But right now, they're under curses. Deuteronomy 28, is the bulk of those curses that would be on the Israelites. Okay, you'll see that. But on the other hand, you have their brethren, which would be the Edomites. They call themselves the so-called white people today, predominantly. This is Esau's blessing. Verse 39. We'll start at verse 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? All right, so Esau's coming back from his hunt, and then the blessing's gone. But he already sold his birthright, but he's still going to act like a little child. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right, so Esau is asking for a blessing too. Now, the blessing that Esau is going to receive is a temporal blessing, a blessing limited by time. Okay? And Isaac, his father, answered and said, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Okay? And the dew of heaven from above. All right? So he's going to get the best lands. Okay? And the dew of heaven from above. All right? So we'll get rulership and everything that comes with it. All right? And by thy sword thou shalt live. All right? So he's going to be a man of war. He's going to have great weapons, like atomic bombs and fighter jets and big missiles and stuff like that. And thou shalt serve thy brother. Okay, so at some point they're going to be captives to Jacob, to the Israelites. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So eventually they're going to be free of that. Now that's already happened in the past, during the time of King David. All right, King David put garrisons in Edom. But now, Esau, Edom, he's still living in his blessing. Jacob is not living in his blessing right now. Jacob is under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Now, Esau, he also has a curse that's going to come, and his curse is even worse than the curse that's on Jacob. Because you see our people downtrodden. That's the people working at Walmart and stuff like that, But you see these Edomites, these billionaires, and you think that they're blessed. Yeah, they are blessed. But they have a temporal blessing. eventually that blessing is going to run out. Okay, so let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6. Go down to verse 7, and it says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? Okay, and he said to me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand first held the heel of Esau. You can read that in Genesis, the 25th chapter. I didn't read that part, but it's there. For Esau is the end of the world. So at the end of this world, that's when Esau's blessing ends. And that's when his curse begins. Okay? And Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. Okay? So once this world ends, speaking about the day of the Lord when Yahushua comes back, that's when Jacob, his blessing truly begins. When his rulership, when he's freed from these curses. Okay, so there's a changing of places that's going to take place. So they're both blessed, but they have different blessings and different curses on them. Okay, so Jacob got punished first. Okay, Esau got his blessing first. Then they're going to swap roles. But Jacob is going to rule forever. Then Obadiah 1:18, Esau will be destroyed. Okay, so it's easy to look at the wicked now, which we'll be talking about Esau, Malachi 1:4, and see that they're, doing great, like King David had said, but it's only temporary, all right? Imagine eternity to a lifetime, okay? Now, let's go to Proverbs, chapter 24. Verse 1, it says, Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. Okay? So don't sit there and look at these billionaires and all these people who you now know are wicked. The files, all the corruption, the G-side going on overseas. You know that they're all involved with this. You know what they're doing. They're destroying the country, these wicked laws, everything that they're doing. Don't be envious to be like them. Don't think that the Heavenly Father is on their side. He's setting them up for a punishment that you don't want any part of. Okay? And let's go to Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. And it says, Envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And who's the oppressor of Jacob? Esau, Edom. All right? So don't try to be like your oppressor. Don't choose his ways. His ways are the ways of death. You want to choose the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Here with Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, meaning he is. And Yahushai being the name of the Son, which means he saves or he delivers. Okay, let's go see what King David had to say in the book of Psalms. This is Psalm chapter 1 and verse 8. It says, the Psalm of Asaph. Truly power is good to Israel. Okay, which would be his blessed, his anointed, Jacob. Even to such as are clean or of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. He was like, I almost messed up, man. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. All right? So like that man, he's sitting in his car telling us about, man, but it seems like they are blessed. These people who got all these billions of dollars and doing this and doing that. And, you can become envious of that. Just seeing that, not understanding that they are set up for a great fall. Okay? For there are no bands in their death. Their strength is firm. They die, they pass it on to their sons. It's just like the rich keep getting richer, And it's like, what about the rest of us? They are not in trouble as other men. He mentioned that. He's like, if we did one of these crimes, we would be in jail. You know, I got what he said, a cousin or a brother in jail. All right. Yes, they are not punished like other men. They're being reserved for judgment. They are the people of his curse. They have the same spirit on them as Cain. That's why they have that mark on them. That's why they have pale skin. That's the mark of Cain. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Because they're living in their blessing right now. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, and violence covereth them as a garment. So they're like spoiled children who've never been chastised. Okay, they think everything that they do is right, even though it's wrong. They think that God or Yahweh is on their side, but he's not. He's just setting them up for the ultimate judgment. And that's what's coming. Okay? Why do you think they're just so violent and do all these things? Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than their heart could wish. Who could spend billions and trillions of dollars in their lifetime? They are corrupt and speak wickedly. Concerning oppression, they speak lawfully. Okay? Look at how they talk about them people over there in Gaza. Okay? They don't care about the poor and needy. Now, let's end this off with the parable. Let's go to Luke chapter 16 and verse 19. The rich man and Lazarus. Now, the rich man represents Esau, Edom. And the poor man, Lazarus, represents Jacob, the Israelites. There was a certain rich man, aka Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. Okay? And that is an example of the life that Esau is living on this side. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which would be Jacob, the Israelites, which was laid at his gate and full of sores. Okay? And desired to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. All right? And the curses to say you will go to them in want of all things. All right? Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores, and the dogs would be like the other heathen. All right? And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. All right? So remember, this is a parable, okay? It's not saying that there's actually an Abraham's bosom that you go to, okay? And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. So there's a changing of places now. Now, the rich man is being tormented, but Lazarus isn't. And now he wants Lazarus to come and lighten his affliction. But did he lighten Lazarus' affliction on the other side? No, he didn't. So that's how it's going to be when the roles change. Okay? In the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be on earth. Okay? But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime received thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. You see, the thing is, people don't believe, and they don't want to wait. Okay? I'll come back to this. That's Revelations, chapter 13, in verse 9, it says, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword, and here is the patience and faith of the saints. Okay, so the elect of the nation of Israel have this faith, and they believe that this is going to happen, that their oppressors will go into captivity under them. They will be murked with the sword. All right? That's what's coming. to all the enemies of the nation of Israel, especially Esau, Edom. So this is coming, that changing of places. All right, let's see, where was we? Verse 26, and it says, and besides all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that will come from thence. So you can't change places with the Edomites or any of the heathen as an Israelite. All right. So once this change takes place, once we're on the other side, once Yahushua comes back and establishes the kingdom, you can't lighten the affliction on the heathens. Okay, they can't come over and be with the Israelites. Like, that's not how it works. Okay, they have their position, and that's the way it was set up. That's why we had to go through the things that we went through on this side. The sores that like Lazarus was dealing with on this side would be those curses. Go read Deuteronomy 28. That was on our people. And the scriptures tell you that once we return back to Yahweh Shem Yahshai, those curses will be put on our enemies. So the heathen will have to deal with these curses in the kingdom. Okay, because everybody's going to be in the kingdom of heaven. They're just not going to be in the same positions. That's what the scriptures is telling you about. The Israelites will rule this world in righteousness under the laws of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. That's what's coming. Okay? And that 1,000-year reign, that's going to be captivity for the heathen. Okay? And at the end of that, Obadiah 1:18, Esau, Edom is done away with it, and the heathens go back to their land. All right? So, I hope this let me finish reading it. I thought I was done. Verse 27 says, then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abram said unto him, they have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, nay, Father Abraham, but if thou went unto them from the dead, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto them, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. Who rose from the dead? Yahushai. Okay? So, hope this short lesson was edifying. Shalom, Yasharal.